Hey guys, welcome back to Fix It Friday, the weekly YouTube series where we talk about video game console repairs, mods, and restorations. This week what I've got is an SNES Jr. So this is a second version of the Super Nintendo, and this was released all the way back in 1997. So this is really in the twilight days of the Super Nintendo. It's a really nice console. So you know, they basically made a smaller, cost-reduced version of it, so it doesn't have RF, but it still has composite video, and that totally makes sense because by 97, people really weren't using composite video at that point. What's really notable about this console is that it has something called a one-chip, which is where it takes the CPU and the two picture processing units, and it combines it into a single chip that does everything. And one thing that's notable about those one-chip Super Nintendos is that they have extremely nice RGB, like really, really sharp. If you take a standard SNES and you put it on RGB cables, it looks great, but it's a bit of a softer image, whereas with this, the pixels are really, really sharp. The problem is that with the SNES Jr, it doesn't have native RGB output. So this port here, it only does composite. So thankfully, it's very simple to do a RGB mod to this console. So we're going to go ahead and do that today, and I'll show you guys how to do it. It's a great project if you guys are just getting started with modding, and I'll walk you through it step by step. All right, let's get to it. All right, so the first thing we got to do in order to take it apart is you're going to need a game bit screwdriver like this one. They're very common. You can buy them on Amazon or eBay for a few dollars. It's a must-have thing if you're going to do console modding of any kind. So yeah, you've got 4 of those security bits in here, and so I've removed those. Now, when you take this apart, here we go. You'll see this is the Super Nintendo, and you can see how pared down it is compared to a standard Super Nintendo. You can also see that this particular unit is filthy, like really filthy. This has never been opened, and it's, you know, I'm planning on selling this thing, actually. This is something that I got from a friend, and I'm going to mod it, and I'm actually going to be selling it on my 1UP Restorations website. So I don't want to sell it in this state. I want it to look as nice as possible. So the first thing we're going to do is take this thing apart and separate out the case plastics. So here, I'll just get started with that. We're going to take the power button off by just squeezing those purple tabs. And there's 2 here. Squeeze those, and then just push. And I'm also going to take these 3 screws off here so that the cartridge, slot gets disconnected. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and remove all of the Phillips screws right now. And once that's all done, we're going to go ahead and move over into another room, and we're going to clean this console up and make it look nice and shiny. Alright, so we're going to get started with this, and there's really not that much special to it. I just have a little scrub brush. I'm just going to use some detergent here, and just with some warm water, and we'll go ahead and just scrub this thing down. Alright, so I'm going to just take the cartridge slot out. I actually had forgotten to do that, but that's not a big deal. I'll just remove this and give this another rinse and air dry it. But yeah, you can see I just put a lot of extra attention on things like the Nintendo logo and the power and reset and the actual Super Nintendo logo, and that kind of scrubbing gets rid of 90% of the junk. There's still a little bit left here and there, but I'm going to take care of that with some rubbing alcohol. It'll probably come off right away. So yeah, I'm going to just go ahead and finish that up, and then we're going to put this stuff in a dry place to air dry, and then we'll be back. Okay, so we're going to get started now with the mod, and I just wanted to show you how the one chip SNES Jr looks like. So this is that huge chip I was talking about that combines the CPU and both of the PPUs. So it's pretty cool. Alright, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing most of the work here on the back of the console. So the RGB board is going to sit right here, and it connects directly to the SNES multi-out. And then what we're going to do is the kit comes with like these 4 wires, and so I went ahead and I soldered, just stripped the insulation off, and I tinned all of the leads so that they're easy to work with. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're going to basically put it into these 4 vias right here. And we're going to go ahead and add some flux and solder those into position. And then from there, we're going to take the other side and we're going to connect it up to RGB and C-Sync right over here. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in and we'll get started on that next. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to wire in RGB and C-Sync. And you can see that there's these 4 vias right here. These 3 are all next to each other. That's RG and B, red, green, blue. And this one that's kind of a little bit off and by itself, that's C-Sync. And so what we're going to do is just slot these guys in. And I'm just going to use a little tweezer to make my life a little bit easier. And I can potentially do it on this side or the other side. It really doesn't matter at this point. It's not too difficult. But since I have it like this, I'm going to go ahead and do it on this side here. So we're just going to add a little bit of flux. And that just helps us to keep these connections separated from each other. Okay, I'm going to just do the outer ones first. Or actually, I guess I'll keep going. Okay, so all 4 of those are now soldered into position. I might flip over the board and solder them on the opposite side too, just as a matter of precaution, just to make sure I have a really nice solid connection into that via there. But yeah, that's the only connections we need to make on the motherboard, so it only takes a few minutes to do. So yeah, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come around and we're going to solder them onto the actual board itself, and then we'll, go from there. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and take the RGB board and just put it onto the SNES multi-out right here. And you really don't need to do anything other than just lock it into place. Like, there's a couple of surface mount components underneath. You know, there's some resistors over here, some ceramic capacitors, but they don't get in the way. And there's nothing here that you have to worry about insulating, so you can just kind of put it down and you don't really have to think about it beyond that. So I'm going to go ahead and just start locking it into position. Alright, so that's about it. It's locked into place now. And so now here's our 4 connections that we need to make from the board. And so the way that this is laid out, you don't have to do much other than to just position it like so. So it's basically like so. So C-Sync, red, green, and blue. So I'm going to go ahead and just shorten these wires here, and then we're going to go ahead and install them because these are just a little bit too long, but that's not a big deal. I'll take care of that in a second. Alright, so there we go, all done. I'll just make some small adjustments to this, just to make sure these connections are good. And then we'll go ahead and see if the case is dry, reassemble everything, give it a quick test, and see how things look. Alright, so I've reassembled it, and it looks really, really good now that it's thoroughly cleaned. And as you can hear in the background, I've got the RGB going. It looks fantastic. So let's take a look. So yeah, I'm using my genuine Star Fox competition cart because I love that thing and it's cool and not something you get to see too often. But yeah, you can see that the pixels are super sharp. You can look at the text and see that too. And the colors are vibrant, they pop. And so really, this is like the best version of the Super Nintendo in my opinion because it just looks so good. Yeah, so like I said at the start of this video, this console is going to be available for sale at my website at oneuprestorations.com. I'll have a link in the description if you guys want to take a look. And yeah, I hope you guys found this useful because this is a great mod to get into if you're just getting started. And yeah, thanks again for watching, guys. I will see you next time. Bye.